Welcome back. Lincoln currency. Let your imagination journey begins with the moment a Jefferson nickel leaves the mint, its metallic surface freshly struck, the crisp impression of its design elements sharply outlined. Picture the date 2000 stamped into history, part of a long tradition of coinage begun over 2 centuries ago, all ushering value into the pockets of everyday Americans. This particular nickel, minted at the Philadelphia facility without a mint mark, carries within it the essence of the Jefferson design lineage, and yet imbued in it lie possibilities, echoes of numismatic wonders, whispers of rare die varieties, anomalies that can elevate a simple 5-cent piece into a treasure worth far more than face value. Let us explore the physical, the weight, the size, the alloy composition. Each Jefferson nickel weighs exactly 5.0 grams, measures 21.21 millimeters in diameter, and 1.95 millimeters in thickness. Its composition since 1866 consists of a 75% copper and 25% nickel-cupronickel alloy. The result is a silvery gray coin with moderate resistance to wear and corrosion. These deliberate material choices date back to post-Civil War adjustments, seeking the right balance between durability, cost, and appearance, yet this nickel symbol is far deeper than mere material. Its ubiquitous obverse carries the dignified head of President Thomas Jefferson, sculpted by Felix Schlag. His profile is serene, almost meditative, gazing toward the future. His hair is meticulously articulated, his collar subtly turned, and his countenance stoic, reflecting both his intellectual brilliance and complex legacy. The word liberty arcs above him, while the year 2000 sits to his right, a silent timestamp at the dawn of a new millennium. A small P near the rim confirms its origin. The reverse sports Monticello, Jefferson's beloved Virginia estate. Schlag's artist touches are evident: precise columns, rectangular facade, triangular pediment, intricate doorway, lush wreath underneath. This architecture is historically accurate, a visual ode to Jefferson's personal vision. Adorning its rim, E pluribus unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. Each inscription forms a circular embrace around Jefferson's home. On this matte, metallic stage, the compositions echo values: democracy, unity, domestic roots, but this coin is more than physical representation. It's a symbolic artifact, an expression of Jefferson's legacy, American ideals, and the persistent cultural tradition of coinage as art. Every nickel carries with it the weight of history, and in the case of the year 2000, a bridge between centuries. The journey of this coin doesn't end there. Numismatic alchemy emerges through intriguing varieties. Enter the rare and collectible edge, the Jefferson nickel proofs. In 2000, proofs were struck at San Francisco using specialized production presses to create mirror-like fields and frosted reliefs. These mint-marked proofs sold in sets, targeted collectors. They feature the same design but achieve conscience of artistry and uniqueness. A proof struck on silver composition? No, silver content ended in 1964, proofs after that are still cupronickel. But their special finish endows greater value. Some early die states from the 2000 proof run displayed doubling on the inscriptions or slight defects. Double die obverse errors become dream subjects. A single margin of symbolism transforms this nickel from commerce into communion with minting craft. Meanwhile, in circulation, the 2000 P nickel is considered common. Hundreds of millions were struck. Demand for nickel remained consistent through 2000. These circulation strikes met everyday commerce, their surfaces rubbed in pockets, taxi fare, vending machines. Most look dull, some smudged, many lost in jar accumulations. Their typical grade at best is very fine or about uncirculated, earning them only face value plus maybe a few pennies to collectors of date sets. Yet in this ordinariness lies contrast. Because there are many, the value remains low, typically only 5 cents except those in exceptional mint state grades. MS65, MS66, can reach a few dollars each in auctions, but we mentioned anomalies. Every once in a while a mint error arises. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, double-struck specimens, or coins struck on incorrect planchets provide numismatic treasure troves. For example, a 2000 nickel struck off-center by 10 to 20% will reveal partial Jefferson profile. That kind of dramatic error can fetch hundreds of dollars from enthusiastic collectors. Add to that the possibility of an RPM, a repunched mint mark, a magician's secret on the coin. A mint worker mistakenly punch marks the P over the wrong location, creating a shadowed doubling. Condition and visibility greatly affect value, but even modest ones might achieve $20 to $50 in the marketplace, larger ones up to hundreds. Yet of all mint errors, perhaps the most legendary would be a 2000 Jefferson nickel struck on a 10-cent dime planchet or, most dramatic, on a penny copper planchet, if by some fluke of the presses. Such anomalies are extraordinarily rare. If authenticated by grading services and confirmed by professional numismatists, one fluke specimen might sell for thousands. Historical precedent abounds. A 1973 Lincoln cent struck on a zinc planchet sold high. Similar nickel-on-penny planks would invite frenzy. Just a single possible example, graded MS60, could command $5,000 to $20,000 depending on condition and the collecting market at the moment. Now let us pivot to market valuations. Today's P mint nickel from 2000 in circulated condition sells at face no premium. But in mint state MS65 or MS66 it might fetch $1 to $5. A flawless MS67 or MS68 really exceptional specimen, maybe $20 to $50 at auction. A top-graded MS69 specimen, for a Jefferson nickel with pristine strike, full luster, no bag marks, is extremely rare. One might trade hands in the low hundreds, ink among specialized dealers and PCGS/CAC enthusiasts. Proof nickels, minted at San Francisco with S mint mark, were struck in limited numbers. Approximately 9 million sets including all 5 denominations in coin sets plus American Eagle proof sets. The separate runs of proofs number maybe 3 to 4 million for the nickel alone. They are readily available to the collector. Proofs graded PR70 DCAM, perfect grade, deep cameo contrast, can sell for $50 to $100. PR69 DCAM sells $25 to $40. PR67 DCAM about $10 to $15. Non-cameo proofs, standard proofs without deep contrast, still trade for $5 to $15 depending on strike and eye appeal. However, the real numismatic fireworks come from rare key varieties. In 2000 there are known double die obverse varieties, DDS002 for the Denver Mint and DDS003 for Philadelphia, featuring doubling on 2000 and Liberty. These potential die doubling anomalies appear early in the run and faded later. Only a handful are known. Such double dies in high condition can fetch hundreds or more depending on raised profile, sharpness, and prominence. Collectors often guard them fiercely, paying $500 plus for pristine examples. Combined with a perfect struck proof, these anomalies reach 5 digits if unique enough. Additionally, there are extremely rare patterns and trial strikes. In 2000, as part of the Westward Journey Nickel Series experiments, started 1999 to commemorate Lewis and Clark, the Mint experimented with various designs. Though Monticello returned on the reverse, and Jefferson remained on obverse, several artist renderings were surveyed internally. A few pattern pieces were struck for review. These pattern coins, like a shaded alkaline cast, plated, or differently shaped prototypes, are extremely rare and often retained by the mint or destroyed. Occasionally one travels to auction. If one emerges, expect a cold financial hurricane, value likely in six-figure territory, rivaling gold coins. A single pattern can reach $200,000 to $500,000 or more. So far we've danced around the possibility of a coin being worth $87 million. Is that possible for a Jefferson nickel? Could one 2000 nickel become worth that? In theory, yes, if it's one of a kind, historically significant, and verified beyond doubt. Consider the 1787 Brasher doubloon or the 1933 Double Eagle gold coin, both minted in limited numbers, withdrawn, and outlawed, later becoming priceless cultural artifacts. Their singular scarcity and story propelled them into multi-million auctions, the 1933 Double Eagle once sold for $18.9 million in 2021. But those were gold coins, legal tender outlawed and recalled. Our Jefferson nickel, made in 2000, the year after the famed Sacagawea dollar and the start of digital payments, doesn't have that kind of backstory. Yet what if an extraordinary event occurred, a coin struck on a mislabeled blank destined for the series, maybe with a known variant like Monticello reversed and Liberty forward? Unlikely, but if it happened, and survived, it could be considered a mint error and pattern, archived. With the rarity alone, major collectors and museums might vie for it. And if an auction spectacle captured global imagination, where multiple billionaires make emotional bids, the price could climb to tens of millions. But $87 million? That's only realistic if the coin enters the realm of cultural artifact beyond numismatics, akin to the Hope Diamond, possessing myths, fame, broadcast publicity, and singular uniqueness amplifying value far beyond numismatic parameters. Now, as of June 2025, how does the market look? Let us recall, gold and platinum bullion values are high, interest in numismatic diversification is rising, but interest in U.S. Jefferson nickels is moderate. The numismatic community still chases high-grade examples, punctual pattern discoveries, and altered mintmaster dies. Auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Legend flourish. In the past year, several high-end mint state nickels from early 2000s sold for a few hundred. Ed D. Now imagine yourself in a quiet evening, sitting at the kitchen table under a warm light, with a glass jar in front of you. It's full of change, ordinary coins accumulated from daily errands, fast food drive-thrus, coffee shop tips, and laundry machines. It's the kind of mundane accumulation most people overlook. But to a numismatist, a serious coin collector, this is more than metal. It's a potential treasure trove, a living museum that hasn't yet been catalogued. Within it may rest a 2000 P or 2000 D nickel, a 1-cent piece misstruck on an incorrect planchet, or even one of those near-mythical anomalies we explored earlier. The dream that somewhere, hidden in plain sight, is the ultimate coin, the one with the error so rare, the provenance so mysterious, the condition so pristine, that it could theoretically fetch the price of a Manhattan penthouse. But it's not just the error or the flaw that gives a coin its legendary worth. It's the story. The coin that reaches an 8-figure valuation is rarely just about metal or grade, it's about mythology. The 2000 D nickel or 1-cent coin that could be worth $87 million doesn't get there simply because it was minted incorrectly. It achieves that stratospheric price tag only when it becomes something more, a historical relic, a financial unicorn, a symbol of national nostalgia, a piece tied to an unusual presidential signature, or a minting fluke never seen before or since. Let's examine the hypothetical scenario in which a 2000 D 1-cent coin, normally made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, weighing about 2.5 grams, was accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, say, a gold planchet intended for a foreign coin, or a 10-cent blank intended for a Roosevelt dime. Let's say this coin escaped the U.S. Mint's inspection, made its way into general circulation, and went unnoticed for over 2 decades until some collector with sharp eyes, finds it and sends it to PCGS or NGC. The professional grading companies authenticate it, determine that it is a one-of-a-kind mint error, never documented before, and grade it mint state 69 or even proof 70, flawless except for the divine accident that made it. Suddenly, this coin becomes not just a collectible, it becomes a story. Coin auctions are as much theater as they are financial events. Bidders gather, either physically or online, driven not just by logic but emotion, competition, and the desire to possess something utterly unique. In the right setting, with the right backstory, this strange 1-cent coin from 2000, struck in Denver, becomes the headline. CNBC, Bloomberg, and numismatic blogs explode with the news. World's rarest coin, the headlines ask. 1-cent coin found in coffee shop tip jar valued at $87 million, they say. Instantly, the perception around that coin changes. It is no longer about what the coin is, it is now about what the coin represents, and yet, much of this dream lives in the imagination of the collector. The day-to-day reality of a 2000 D Lincoln cent is far more grounded. Minted in large quantities, over 8 billion in circulation, most are worth face value, even in decent condition. Only those with specific minting errors, off-metal strikes, double dies, or repunched mint marks begin to rise in market value, typically ranging from $10 to $100 depending on severity and condition. High-grade examples, MS-66 and MS-67, can touch the $200 to $500 range when certified by a top-tier grading service, particularly if they feature full steps on the reverse in the case of Jefferson nickels or extra detailing on Lincoln's jacket for cents. But we are not talking about common examples here, we're talking about that rare outlier that the entire collecting community talks about, even if few have seen it in person. Let's dive deeper into coin grading, because in many ways, the grading of a coin determines everything about its market value. Most coins struck for circulation are not handled with care. They are banged together, scooped into bins, and poured into bags. The result is that even newly minted coins may have scratches, bag marks, or strike imperfections. For a coin to be graded MS-70, a perfect mint state, it must show no imperfections at 5x magnification. That bar is so high that almost no business strike 2000 coins meet it. Even proof coins, designed for collectors and struck multiple times with polished dies, rarely make it to PR-70 unless handled in sterile, professional environments. The higher the grade, the more exponentially the value increases. An MS-66 2000 D penny might sell for $50. An MS-68 example, if only a handful exist, might leap to $1,500 or more. But those numbers only start becoming truly astronomical when we enter unique error territory, off-metal strikes, broad strikes, mule errors, where a coin is struck with mismatched dies from different denominations, or famous die varieties. Let's not forget collector psychology. Scarcity, combined with verified legitimacy and a compelling story, drives value in every collecting arena. And coins are no exception. If someone were to find a 2000 D cent struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet, or one bearing a misaligned die that creates a so-called ghost face on the obverse, or even a mule where the cent's obverse appears alongside a dime's reverse, then all bets are off. Such coins don't just fetch high prices, they rewrite numismatic history. They become cultural artifacts, the stuff of documentaries, museum exhibitions, and million-dollar auction lots. These coins aren't just metal. They're stories encased in metal. A coin said to be worth $87 million would have to be one of the rarest and most culturally significant coins on Earth. Think about this, the 1933 double eagle fetched $18.9 million. The flowing hair silver dollar from 1794, arguably the first official dollar minted in the US, sold for over $10 million. What do those coins have in common? Age, rarity, condition, and story. So if a 2000 D cent were to sell for $87 million, it would need more than just an error. It would need a story strong enough to compel a billionaire collector or national institution to bid not with logic, but with obsession. Perhaps it was the last coin personally examined by a U.S. mint director. Perhaps it was struck using a now-destroyed master die. Perhaps it contains a microscopic flaw that identifies it as the only one of its kind. Or perhaps it was found in a time capsule left by someone famous, adding layers of mystique to its otherwise mundane origins. In the collector world, coins become valuable for different reasons. Some are cherished for their connection to history, Civil War tokens, coins struck in times of national crisis. Others are desired for artistic merit, St. Gaudens double eagles, with their sweeping designs and elegant form. Then there are coins valued simply for being rare, coins that were minted in limited numbers, quickly recalled, or never officially released. A 2000 D cent or nickel might fit into any of these categories if it can be connected to an extraordinary event. And this is why collectors search, not just to own a piece of metal, but to discover a thread of the past overlooked by others. As we float further into this narrative, we see the beauty of coin collecting, it combines the factual and the speculative. It honors design and mystery, math and mythology. To most people, coins are an afterthought, a medium of transaction. To collectors, each coin is a story waiting to be unlocked, catalogued, and preserved. Perhaps that's what makes the legend of the $87 million coin so enduring. It gives hope that something extraordinary still lies undiscovered, hidden in plain sight. So, the next time you receive change from a cashier or clean out your car's cup holder, take a moment. Examine each coin. Check the mint mark, the year, the strike, the luster. Compare it to others. Use a loupe, a scale, and a magnet. Weigh the possibilities, both literal and metaphorical. For in your hands might be a 2000D coin not yet known to the numismatic world. And while it's unlikely to be worth $87 million, it may still be worth far more than anyone expects. You are now deeper into the narrative. Picture this not as a script anymore, but an experience, something you don't just listen to or read, but feel and live as you trace each coin's imagined journey. Each coin becomes a time traveler. Somewhere in the great recycling loops of commerce, there are coins from the 19th century still in dusty drawers. There are coins that never made it into circulation, ones that should have been melted, and yet somehow, against all odds, exist. And the 2000D penny, seemingly recent, is one of those that has gradually transformed from the mundane to the mystical in collector circles, especially as modern myths swirl. There's a unique cultural phenomenon that happens when something common becomes rare by accident. The 2000D cent was minted in the billions, over 8.5 billion coins. It was never intended to be rare. It was mass-produced, designed for nothing more than to function as a unit of transaction. And yet, within that unfathomable number, there are whispers of mutations. Slight shifts in the die. Minute rotations. Clipped planchets. Multiple strikes. Transposition errors. Variants so subtle that most would overlook them but so critical that the trained eye can spot something others miss, and see 5 cents or 1 cent become hundreds, then thousands. The most powerful thing about this is the possibility. Every coin collector, every hobbyist, even someone just starting, knows the dream is alive every time they open a roll of cents. It's this romance between objectivity and the unknown. It's what keeps people hunting through boxes of coins from the bank or ordering sealed mint sets to unearth the one anomaly no one else saw. It's not about greed, it's about discovery. It's Indiana Jones in a world of copper and nickel. Let's not ignore the invisible role that grading plays in all of this. The moment a coin is sent to a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC, it begins a transformation. What was once loose change becomes a documented artifact. And the higher the grade, the more that transformation feels like rebirth. A common 2000D cent might be worth only a cent in circulation, but once graded MS68 by PCGS, and accompanied by a population report that shows only a handful exist at that level, it takes on a new aura. A once-in-a-billion shot. Rarity, in numismatics, isn't always about age, it's about perfection, but that leads us into one of the most fascinating paradoxes in coin collecting: perfection and imperfection both raise value. On one hand, the most flawless specimens, perfectly struck and unhandled, become paragons of what a coin was supposed to be. On the other, the most extreme errors, coins that are off-center, double-struck, struck on wrong planchets, or completely missing design elements, become celebrated precisely because they defy expectation. They are miracles of imperfection. Now imagine the 2000D cent that might have been struck on a foreign planchet. Imagine that coin was minted during a split-second moment of confusion, a misfeed of blanks during an experimental batch. Let's say a planchet intended for a coin from Guatemala or El Salvador was mistakenly fed into the press. That coin would be the ultimate ghost, untraceable in normal records, unseen by most, possibly thrown away or dismissed as a counterfeit. But if found, weighed properly, authenticated, and tied back to the mint with metallurgical analysis and press identification, it becomes something else entirely. Suddenly, it's not just a mint error. It's a window into the system. It's history-breaking protocol, collectors dream of these anomalies. They know the history. The 1943 copper cent. The 1955 double die. The 1969 S double die. The 1982 D small date copper cent. The 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf quarter. These aren't just coins, they're legends. They're stories passed down in collector forums, coin shows, and YouTube videos like ghost stories at a campfire. The idea that lightning could strike again with a 2000 D or 2000 P coin, that is what fuels the never-ending hunt, and with each year, technology helps sharpen the eyes of collectors. Where once a jeweler's loupe was the height of coin inspection, now digital microscopes, eye-assisted imaging, and advanced XRF metal testers allow even hobbyists to inspect with extreme precision. They're able to compare RPMs, analyze die fatigue, and identify phantom doubling previously attributed to die wear. They photograph and upload to online databases, forums, and Discord groups, collectively advancing the science of coin discovery. And every so often, someone finds something no one has seen before. Here's where myth and market collide. Say a 2000 D cent is found with a dramatic mule error, obverse from the cent, reverse from a dime. That has happened before with other years. If such a mule exists from 2000, and it's real, authenticated by the best labs and given a top grade, it becomes instantly iconic. You're no longer talking about just metal, weight, and date. You're talking about a story that ripples through the entire numismatic community. Coin World covers it. Coin Week interviews the finder. YouTubers get millions of views analyzing it. Investors, not just collectors, start calling. Major dealers reach out to place bids before it even hits auction. Then it appears at heritage auctions. The opening bid is $500,000. The crowd breathes. An anonymous buyer increases the bid. $1 million. Then $3 million. A live bidding war. 10 minutes later, the hammer falls. The final price, $5.6 million. The coin is now more than legendary. It's historical record, and the public reacts the way it always does. Some doubt it, some celebrate it, and most are fascinated. Because the story of something small becoming unimaginably valuable, especially when it was hiding in plain sight, is irresistible. It's why the legend of the $87 million coin continues, whether it's fact, fiction, or something in between. And maybe, just maybe, it's not about whether the coin is really worth $87 million. It's about the collective wish that something seemingly worthless could be priceless. That wish is ancient. It exists in treasure maps, pirate stories, lottery tickets, and dreams of inheritance. And coins, the most tangible form of money, are the most poetic expression of that dream. A simple disc of metal, stamped with a design, carrying a date and a story. The 2000 D cent is a vessel. A carrier of time. A moment frozen in copper-plated zinc. But under the right light, it could be something much more. A door into a different economic reality. A relic. A discovery. A miracle. Collectors know this. That's why they don't throw away change. Why they keep rolls in bank boxes, sort them by hand, photograph them, discuss every subtle deviation. It's why people buy cherry pickers' guides, and memorize every known die variety. Because they know that the universe of coins is vast, but not fully explored. There are still territories uncharted. And one day, one lucky person will find a coin that rewrites everything. So if someone tells you that a 2000 D penny or nickel can't be worth $87 million, you can say, not yet. Because value is not just about today's market. It's about potential, and perception, and proof. It's about the chain of events that transform something common into something sacred. It's about being in the right place at the right time, and knowing what you're looking at, and who knows? Maybe that person is you. Maybe tonight, you open that last roll from the bank and a coin stares back at you, a coin no one else has seen, or a coin everyone overlooked. Maybe that coin carries not just a misprint, or an error, but a story, one that hasn't been told yet. One that, when finally told, will make headlines, break records, and live in the imagination of collectors for decades. Imagine waking up in the early morning, long before the rest of the world stirs. You make a coffee, sit at the kitchen table, and pour out an old Ziploc bag filled with coins collected over years, change from pocket dumps, lunch tips, quick grocery trips. You don't know it yet, but in that pile could be the kind of discovery that changes not just your bank balance, but your relationship to history itself. Because there, glinting quietly under the light of a dusty kitchen bulb, might sit a 2000 penny or nickel that is unlike any other. It could be one of those coins struck on a planchet not intended for that denomination, an accidental coin, a ghost coin, a coin that was never supposed to exist. And yet, somehow, here it is, resting between a dull 1993 quarter and a bent 2005 dime. That possibility is what drives the entire psychology of modern numismatics. Not just the hope for a rare coin, but the belief that something so widely distributed, so ordinary, might secretly carry within it extraordinary value. It's the same mechanism that makes someone stare at a lottery ticket, or at a dusty painting at a garage sale. What if this is the one? And the 2000 cent is the perfect symbol of that emotional pull. It is not a coin born of myth. It's born of mass production, mass circulation, of utility. But that's what makes the exceptions, the errors, the anomalies, all the more powerful. What if one 2000 penny escaped with a mule reverse, a Roosevelt dimeback mistakenly paired with a Lincoln cent obverse? What if one Jefferson nickel from that year was struck on a foreign denomination blank, intended for a now-defunct currency? What if one example contains a double die so aggressive, so visible, that it stands apart from the other 2.5 billion coins struck that year in Denver alone? And what if that coin hasn't been found yet? Some might say that after 2 decades, all such examples would already have surfaced. But they underestimate the nature of circulation. Coins are hoarded, lost, tucked away in old drawers and coffee cans, buried in forgotten collections passed down from relatives. It often takes years, decades, for the full scope of an error or variety to even be acknowledged. There are still coins being discovered today with traits from the 1960s that were never catalogued. Just a few years ago, a previously unknown 1964 piece dollar appeared out of nowhere, a coin the mint said shouldn't even exist. And yet, it did. And suddenly, collectors had to rewrite history. That's the beautiful chaos of numismatics. The facts we think we know are always being rewritten. The 2000 cent, or nickel, or any coin of that vintage isn't just a fixed object, it's a living record. And when new varieties are discovered, be it a new double die, a misaligned die clash, an improperly annealed planchet, a transitional error, it adds another brushstroke to the canvas. Suddenly, what was previously considered an ordinary year in minting history becomes a focal point, and that's what leads to stories of multi-million-dollar valuations. People laugh when they hear a coin might be worth $87 million. They say it's impossible. But they forget what we've seen happen. A baseball card from 1952, a piece of printed cardboard, sold for over $12 million in 2022. A rare NFT sold for $69 million. Artworks from unknown or long-forgotten painters have crossed $100 million at auction. In those contexts, the idea that a coin, especially one struck by the United States Mint, with full historical backing and proven uniqueness, could one day break the $87 million mark is no longer absurd. It just hasn't happened yet. But in this world, "not yet" is the most powerful phrase, and it's important to note, value is not only about price. It's about how deeply a coin reaches into culture, memory, and story. If a 2000 coin surfaced that bore a minting feature never before seen, say, a die pair that included an experimental design, or an unofficial transition from the Lincoln Memorial reverse to a redesigned concept, it could become historically significant enough to warrant museum interest. Not everything valuable is auctioned to the highest bidder. Some coins become part of the National Archive. Some are donated, then insured for extraordinary amounts. Others spark documentary films, books, academic studies, and endless YouTube videos, because that's the other layer of this story, how the internet amplified the mythos. Before YouTube, TikTok, forums, and instant messaging, a rare coin discovery might take years to circulate among experts. Today, one post, one photo, one close-up video of a strange coin, perhaps a 2000 penny with a thick doubled ear or a strange lamination, can go viral in hours. Tens of thousands of eyes examine the footage. Experts debate. Hobbyists weigh in. Grading companies respond. And suddenly, the coin is no longer just metal, it's media. Now consider the people behind the scenes. The collectors. The lifelong numismatists. The casual coin roll hunters. The eBay flippers. The inheritance finders. They each play a role in keeping this ecosystem alive. A 14-year-old who finds a strange-looking penny in her lunch change may have no idea she's holding something rare. A grandfather with a dozen coffee cans full of coins might unknowingly sit on a $500,000 anomaly. And this is why videos like the one this script is meant for are so important. They spread awareness, inspire curiosity, and sometimes even change lives. There's a documented case of a man who found a rare transitional error 1982 small date copper cent in a box of change he nearly took to the bank. That coin, in high grade, fetched over $18,000. Another collector found a 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf quarter in a gas station's change drawer, which he flipped for several $100s. These stories are the fuel that powers every hour spent searching through bank rolls, every trip to the coin shop, every microscope session under LED lighting, and as the market matures, attention continues to shift toward modern coins. Where older coins were once the staple of high-end collecting, there's now a strong, growing appetite for modern varieties. Why? Because they're accessible. Because they're still out there. Because anyone can find one. And among all modern coin years, the year 2000 holds symbolic weight. It's the dawn of a millennium, a bridge between analog and digital, paper currency and plastic cards. Coins minted in that year carry more than metal, they carry millennial significance. Now project forward. Imagine the year 2050. Someone finds a 2000 penny that somehow contains traits from both the Lincoln and Sacagawea coin series, a mule coin that bridges two different currency identities. Experts authenticate it. PCGS grades it MS67. No other coin like it has ever surfaced. It's dubbed the Millennial Mule. News media latches on. Stories are written. Talk shows discuss it. Documentaries are pitched. And at auction, in front of a crowd of world-class collectors, it sells, not for $1 million, not for $10 million, but for $87 million. Because by then, coins are more than coins. They're data. They're history. They're tangible moments preserved in a digital world. Is that dream far-fetched? Perhaps. But it's less far-fetched than believing a single JPEG could sell for more than the GDP of a small country. The collector world is full of surprises. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is more surprising than a forgotten object found in a kitchen drawer turning out to be worth more than a mansion. That is why the legend persists. That is why the coin community is obsessed with every variation. Why databases like Variety Vista, Wexler's Die Varieties, and the Cherry Picker's Guide exist. Why every faint doubling of the Liberty lettering, every weak strike on Monticello's steps, every questionable mint mark is scrutinized. Because in those details may lie the next big discovery. And maybe, just maybe, the key to unlocking the next coin to break all valuation records. So, as this narrative rolls on, remember, coins are memory, time, and mystery pressed into metal. The 2000 penny or nickel in your pocket today may be one of billions. But the one with the right flaw, the right strike, and the right story? That one could be priceless. Picture a world where everyone passes the same coin thousands of times and no one sees it for what it truly is. It jingles in coat pockets, lies dormant in glove compartments, it slips into vending machines and coin laundries unnoticed. It's invisible, but not worthless. In fact, its invisibility is what makes it priceless. One day, one collector notices. He doesn't know why, but something looks off. The date seems thicker, the rim slightly elevated. The copper color feels more alive than usual. It's the same 2000 penny he's seen a million times, but this one whispers something different that he weighs it. Instead of the expected 2.5 grams, it comes in at 3.1. He runs a magnet test, non-reactive. He compares the font under a magnifier, and the Liberty seems doubled. The D mint mark has what appears to be repunching. The die cracks aren't supposed to be there. The surfaces are wrong for a common circulation coin. He sends it to NGC. Weeks pass. Then comes the call. The planchet is solid copper, never meant for the year 2000. The strike is strong, the doubling is real. The repunched mint mark is confirmed. It's a transitional planchet mule error with doubled die obverse and an RPM. Population, 1. And suddenly the collector's life is never the same. The coin is appraised, not just for its minting anomalies, but for its narrative uniqueness. In the vast river of over 8 billion 2000 Lincoln cents, this single coin is an evolutionary mutation, a freak event preserved forever in metal. What begins as a quiet discovery turns into a global event. Articles are written. Phone calls are made. Offers begin. This is not a fantasy. It's what has happened before. The 1943 bronze cent. The 1958 double die. The 2000 W Sacagawea mule with a quarter obverse. Coins not meant to exist, yet they do. The market responds to those who can prove the impossible. And that proof, authenticated and graded, becomes the final word in coin collecting, the stamp of certainty in a world of doubt. But beyond grading and auctions lies something far more human, the thrill of significance. Everyone, in some way, is looking for meaning. Coin collectors just happen to do it through the lens of metal, date, and design. It is a hobby rooted in control, being able to preserve, protect, and understand something most people overlook. And every so often, the hobby rewards its followers not just with knowledge, but with life-altering discovery. The chance that a coin could be worth millions is not what makes people search. It's what makes people hope. Now consider the role of the mints themselves. The Philadelphia Mint. The Denver Mint. The San Francisco Mint. Each has its own history, its own machines, its own dies and workers and practices. In the year 2000, coins were being minted at enormous speed to meet public demand. The Coinage Act required enormous annual outputs. Quality control was strong, but not flawless. Amidst all that activity, it is statistically inevitable that small deviations occurred. That's not a fault, it's an opportunity. Some errors were caught. Some were corrected mid-run. But some, just a few, made it out. Let's turn our attention to the 2000 nickel. Often overshadowed by the Lincoln cent, this coin holds mysteries of its own. The Monticello reverse has long been scrutinized for its strike clarity, especially on the steps. Collectors know to seek full steps designations, FS5 or FS6, signifying sharp definition on Jefferson's famous estate. A 2000 nickel with full steps, graded MS67 or higher, is already valuable. Add a die clash, a double die reverse, or an off-metal strike, and the price leaps. The eye appeal, the scarcity, the narrative, all of it compounds, but that's not all. The market value of a coin, particularly modern coins, is not just shaped by collectors. It's shaped by hype. YouTube videos showcasing coins worth millions generate curiosity, inspire mass roll hunting, and inject energy into the marketplace. While some exaggerate, others reveal genuine leads, specific markers, variety IDs, even photo comparisons. When one new double die is confirmed, demand explodes. Even rumors of a rare coin can cause coin shows to swarm with hopeful sellers. And this isn't speculative fiction, it's exactly what happened after early 2020 videos about rare quarters went viral. This brings us to a subtle but critical idea: coins are cultural artifacts. They aren't just money. They are design, history, politics, mistakes, and miracles. The 2000 D penny is a piece of that broader cultural thread. If a new rare variant emerges, say, a rotated die error that lines up with a previously uncatalogued planchet composition, it could be worth $5,000, $50,000, or, yes, possibly more, and yet, beyond even that, is the Holy Grail: uniqueness combined with fame. A coin doesn't have to be the oldest, most beautiful, or even the rarest to be the most valuable. It just has to be the most talked about. A coin becomes priceless the moment it stops being a numismatic object and becomes a cultural icon. When TV shows, documentaries, social media posts, and museums all begin to point toward a single artifact, it transcends all known models of value. This is where the $87 million figure, however speculative, takes root. It is not born from price guides. It is not the product of Red Book or auction averages. It is born from cultural power, media hysteria, economic unpredictability, and collector obsession. It's the same engine that made a banana duct taped to a wall sell for $120,000. That made a shoeless Michael Jordan jersey sell for $10 million. That took a misprinted postage stamp and turned it into one of the most coveted collectibles in history. So yes, a 2000 D penny, or a 2000 D nickel, could one day be worth $87 million. Not likely. Not today. But not impossible. Because we are not just collectors. We are storytellers. And the greatest value lies in the rare convergence of fact, flaw, fame, and frenzy. In the end, perhaps the coin itself doesn't matter. Perhaps it's the chase. The idea that something so small, so common, could hide untold fortune. That we, with our eyes and our hands, might be the one to find it. And in finding it, become a part of its legend. A single cent that rewrote a life. A nickel that shook the market. A moment that was there all along, hiding in plain sight. Somewhere, not far from now, a child opens a dusty box in their grandfather's attic. It's filled with war medals, baseball cards, photographs of people long gone. And under that, a coffee can rattles with loose coins. Some are dull, green with age. Some are shiny, pristine, sealed in old cardboard flips with handwritten notes. One of them, small, copper, and glowing faintly under the light, reads, 2000 D. To most, it's a 1-cent piece. But to that child, curious and new to the world, it's a mystery. That coin will be the seed of obsession. Of curiosity. That's how collectors are born, not by profit, but by wonder. The coin, if unique, doesn't just gain value. It begins to alter the trajectory of the person who discovers it. Their relationship to money changes. To history. To time. They start learning terms like FS 101, RPM, planchet composition, die pairing. They start reading about the U.S. Mint, the Denver and Philadelphia branches, the times when machines misaligned or blanks were misfed. And in those stories, the coin becomes a key, a way to unlock a deeper understanding of not just minting, but of American history itself. Every year, more people enter this hobby, and more stories like this unfold. The year 2000, often dismissed as too modern, too common, too recent to matter, has already begun to transform in the eyes of collectors. It now marks a generational threshold. Coins from that year are no longer fresh, they're vintage to a new wave of numismatists. Kids born in 2000 are now 25. The coins that share their birth year are aging with them. And as modern coin collecting trends continue to surge, thanks to technology, social media, and a global market, those 2000D and 2000P coins take on new relevance, because scarcity isn't just about mintage. It's about survival. Billions may have been struck, but how many remain untouched, uncirculated, mint state pristine? How many have escaped the wear and corrosion of 2.5 decades? How many were never tossed into Coinstar machines, never used to scrape gum from the bottom of a shoe, never lost behind car seats or dropped into soda-stained streets? The number shrinks. And with it, value rises, but let's imagine again, someone finds a coin, maybe it's not even a known error at first. The coin just feels wrong. It weighs a few tenths of a gram off. The sound it makes when tapped on metal is different. It shines differently under a fluorescent light. They take photos, post online, and the community begins to respond. A few collectors recognize a specific error, a die variety not previously catalogued. Maybe the coin is struck on a transitional planchet between the 1999 and 2000 compositions. Or maybe it features a known error, but with characteristics never documented: stronger doubling, fuller strike, retained cud, unusual die scratches suggesting a pre-production test run. Then a professional grader gets involved. They authenticate it. It's real. It's not just a known error. It's a first. A discovery coin. The label includes "discovery piece," a term reserved for coins that rewrite the book. It's slabbed, encapsulated, recorded. It now lives in the NGC or PCGS population report. It has a serial number. And more importantly, it has a name. From now on, it might be referred to as the Denver Dragonfly or the Millennial Clash. With a name, it transcends auction houses' call. Heritage, Stack's Bowers, great collections. They want to feature it. It's no longer about just condition or rarity. It's about narrative. The story now matters more than the specifications. Who found it? How? Where? What do experts say? And when it crosses the auction block, whether it sells for $80,000 or $8 million, one thing becomes certain: its existence reshapes the perception of every other 2000D coin. Suddenly, collectors revisit their stashes. They check their own 2000s. They compare weight, inspect rims, look for markers. A wave of discovery follows. This chain reaction is what makes numismatics so powerful. One anomaly begets more. One find can change everything. Look at the 1969 SDDO, once unknown, now revered. Or the 2000 Sacagawea mule dollar. The moment they surfaced, the landscape shifted. That's how coins go from being forgotten to being canonized. So what happens if, tomorrow, a coin from 2000D is found with an experimental reverse? Or with traces of a cancelled commemorative design that was accidentally left on a working die? Could such a coin be worth $87 million? Under normal conditions, no. But what if it carries historical documentation? What if it links to a prototype design, part of a mint test that was never meant to reach the public? What if it was approved, then cancelled by the Treasury, and one piece escaped? In that world, $87 million stops being a fantasy and becomes a footnote, because value, in rare collectibles, is created at the intersection of three things: uniqueness, authenticity, and emotional connection. A one-of-one coin, verified by the most trusted grading authorities, and attached to a compelling story? That's not just a coin. That's an artifact. That's a Mona Lisa in copper-plated zinc. Now let's step back and remember something very simple. At its core, every coin, no matter how rare, no matter how valuable, started with a job. To be spent. To move value from one person to another. And that humble origin is what gives it soul. It's why coin collecting isn't just about money, it's about moments. The 2000D penny was never made to be famous. But because of its context, its volume, its potential errors and anomalies, and the community's willingness to keep looking, it becomes the face of a modern legend. It stands as a reminder that in a world moving faster than ever, filled with cryptocurrency, NFTs, and wireless payments, something as small and old-fashioned as a penny still has the power to mesmerize, to inspire, to bring people together. That's the magic. That's the moment we're in. By now, you may realize this journey isn't only about coins. It's about time. A 2000 cent is not just stamped with a date. It's a timestamp. A frozen breath of an era. Minted at the edge of the old millennium, it stands as a marker between centuries, between analog and digital, between the tactile and the virtual. And in this world, what's tactile gains new significance. Coins are some of the last physical expressions of value still touched daily. They are real, weighty, human. You don't just see a coin. You feel it. You hear it. You hold its story in your palm. Think of how many hands a coin has passed through. That 2000 penny could have been carried in a soldier's pocket, dropped in a child's piggy bank, spent at a corner store by someone who would later pass away, forgotten in a couch cushion through 9/11, the Great Recession, a pandemic, the rise of AI, and then found again in the palm of someone who never thought they'd care about coins. This simple object holds more history than most people realize. Now multiply that story by billions. The Denver Mint produced over 8.5 billion 2000 Lincoln cents. And yet, somehow, collectors still believe one of those may be unlike the others. One may have been struck on a bronze planchet, slipped through a quality check, and entered circulation unnoticed. One may have a double die so severe that Lincoln's face looks like it's echoing through time. One may have a rotated reverse so dramatic it creates a visual jolt. One may have a die clash that burns an image of Monticello into the obverse. None of those things are impossible. They've all happened before, in other years. And that is why this particular coin, so common, so overlooked, has become a legend in the making. But legends don't form overnight. They form slowly. Quietly. Through accumulation. One error coin becomes known. Then another. Then a pattern is detected. And before long, collectors begin to hunt 2000 coins not as trivial junk, but as clues. That's when the shift happens, from curiosity to obsession. From hobby to hunt, and obsession breeds community. There are Facebook groups with tens of thousands of members, all sharing macro photos of their change. Discord servers with collectors from all continents comparing RPMs and die chips. Entire YouTube channels dedicated to the art of roll hunting. The rise of the co-influencer has brought new generations into the fold. Teenagers are now filming their discoveries, documenting their sorting techniques, even traveling to coin shows and interviews. A subculture has been born around the belief that within the ordinary lies the extraordinary. Meanwhile, the market continues to evolve. Certified coins are being tracked in population reports, which update constantly, showing how many examples exist in MS65, MS66, MS67, and beyond. The PCGS set registry allows collectors to build digital portfolios of physical coins, competing for prestige, status, and bragging rights. Every time a new 2000 penny is graded at MS68, it sends a small ripple through the market. Every time a new variety is added to the Cherry Picker's Guide or Wexler's listings, the entire perception of that year shifts, and as the number of top-grade specimens tightens, values rise. In 2024, a certified 2000 Lincoln cent in MS68 RD sold for nearly $3,000. Not because of an error. Not because of rarity in mintage. But because of rarity in condition. Because out of billions, only a handful survive that perfectly. In a world where the average example has been degraded by friction, moisture, and time, a flawless version becomes a kind of miracle. And a miracle demands a premium, but beyond technical perfection, there's something far more powerful: myth. Myth is what drives speculation. It's what allows something small to represent something big. When the public begins to believe that a coin, say, a 2000 D penny, might be worth $87 million, they're not really talking about economics. They're talking about possibility. They're talking about hope. The hope that hidden among the mundane are untapped fortunes. And that hope drives behavior. This is why Coinstar machines have begun to see fewer copper coins. Why banks report increased requests for penny rolls. Why collectors are building complete date and mint sets of coins from 1999 to 2009, not just for variety hunting, but because they believe the future value of modern rarities is still grossly underestimated. In a world where everything is digital and ephemeral, physical mistakes, especially government-issued ones, become artifacts of intense demand. Think, for a moment, about the next coin that shatters expectations. It might not come from an ancient vault. It might not be gold or silver. It might not even be old. It might be struck from copper-plated zinc in the year 2000, at the Denver Mint, as casually as any other. But something went wrong. A flaw. A momentary slip. A machine stutter. A die crack. And that mistake turns this penny into an outlier. An object that doesn't just represent a cent, but a window into a story no one else noticed. That is what makes it rare. That is what makes it valuable, and once that story is verified, by graders, by historians, by auction houses, it becomes currency of a different kind. Not the kind you spend, but the kind you preserve. Museum pieces. Cover stories. Educational lectures. Interviews on national news. A simple coin becomes a symbol of chance, luck, skill, and timing all at once. Will one 2000 D penny ever sell for $87 million? No one knows. But the question isn't whether it's realistic. The question is whether it's possible. And as history has shown us, in numismatics, the impossible happens with alarming frequency. So the answer becomes, simply, yes. If the right combination of rarity, story, and media converge, anything is possible. In a world where people tap phones to pay for groceries and digital currencies rise and fall without ever existing in tangible form, the idea of a physical coin being worth $87 million seems almost poetic. It defies the modern financial narrative. A penny, the lowest denomination in the American currency system, thought of by most as disposable, is now reimagined as a relic of value so intense it becomes a treasure in the truest sense. But that's precisely what gives the story its power. Because it reverses the assumptions we make about worth, status, and attention. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you looked at a coin? Really looked at it, not just recognized its denomination, but studied its texture, its weight, the way light dances off the rim, the sharpness of its strike. Most people never do. And that is exactly why some of the greatest numismatic discoveries take so long to surface. Rarity often lives inside the mundane. There are error coins still moving through daily circulation, dismissed as weird-looking or worn, never examined with the care and curiosity they deserve. This is why a single collector, armed with a loupe, a scale, and some patience, can find what no one else has noticed in 25 years. The collector who finds that coin, the 2000 D or 2000 P cent or nickel with a strike anomaly so rare it has never been seen before, is not just rewarded with value. They are rewarded with identity. They become known. The person who discovered, their name enters the record books. Grading labels forever bear the words, "Discovery Piece," beside their initials. Forums tell their story. Dealers remember their face. And they are changed by the moment they looked closer when others didn't. Now consider this: why the year 2000? Why this specific moment in minting history? Partly it's the sheer quantity. The turn of the millennium brought an explosion in production. Pennies and nickels from that year were churned out in the billions as the US prepared for Y2K and an evolving economy. Mistakes were more likely. Quality control was tested by speed. Transitional planchets and die swaps were real risks. Coins meant for experimentation may have made it into circulation unnoticed. That context alone makes 2000 a hunting ground. But there's more. The symbolic power of the date cannot be ignored. The year 2000 evokes a sense of transformation, of boundary crossing, of epochal weight. Coins struck in that year are not just coins. They are icons of a new era. And collectors intuitively understand this. That's why coins from the year 2000, especially those with confirmed errors, or mint-state perfection, or mysterious anomalies, capture the imagination in ways other years do not. They are seen as modern anchors in a sea of digital drift. Let's look again at the market. In the last 5 years, the coin market has shown something remarkable. Modern coins, once dismissed by elite collectors as too recent, too common, or too cheap, are now breaking records. Jefferson nickels in MS67 Plus have crossed 4-figure price points. Lincoln cents with bold double dies from the 2000s are now commanding multi-$100 sales in mid-tier grades. Varieties that once sat in obscurity, RPMs, WDDOs, and die clashes, have become sought-after centerpieces for new collectors building ambitious sets, and much of this market has been driven not by institutions, but by regular people. Teachers. Retirees. Teenagers with microscopes. People sorting coins not in sterile grading rooms, but in kitchens, garages, and living rooms, lit by desk lamps and cell phone flashes. This democratization of numismatics is what makes the legend of the $87 million coin so resonant. It tells every person that value isn't reserved for the elite. That treasure might already be in your house. That wealth, in its truest form, might be built not on speculation or status, but on awareness. On observation. On simply caring more than the person before you. There's an idea in numismatics that the rarest coin isn't always the one that survived, it's the one no one noticed. And the 2000D or 2000P coin you hold today may very well fall into that category. Because most people don't weigh their coins. Don't check for planchet flaws. Don't look for misplaced digits or ghosted outlines. And that means the rare ones are still out there, still waiting. Let's explore that potential. Say you find a 2000D cent with a dual mint mark, both AD and a phantom S overlapping due to a die mix-up. Or a 2000P nickel struck 5% off-center with a doubled Monticello reverse. Or even something never documented, a cent on a nickel planchet, or vice versa. Once authenticated, these coins can start low in value. Maybe a few $100s. But as exposure increases, through articles, videos, and collector interest, values can skyrocket. A coin once worth $500 might resell for $5,000. Then $20,000. Then a museum offers to display it. Then it becomes known. Named. Cataloged, and if it reaches cultural attention, if the coin breaks into public consciousness through media, just as the 1933 Double Eagle and the 2000 Sacagawea Mule Dollar once did, then value becomes driven not just by rarity, but by recognition. It's no longer about what the coin is. It's about what it represents. That's when you enter the realm of millions. Or tens of millions, and yes, even $87 million becomes possible, not because a single coin is made of precious metal, but because it becomes a story no one can ignore. A one-of-one, mint-verified, story-rich coin with a media arc, a passionate community, and a record-shattering sale. We have seen it happen in art. In sports memorabilia. In stamps. In NFTs. And in coins. The formula is there. The precedent is real. So what does that mean for you? It means that every coin you touch might be part of that next chapter. That the world of numismatics is not closed, it is wide open. It is a living map, and new territories are discovered every day. And if you're holding a 2000D or 2000P coin, you're holding a piece of unexplored space. A mystery. A maybe. And in that maybe, there is endless power. Think again about that 2000D cent, the kind you might have flicked off a countertop, ignored in a parking lot, or watched vanish into a convenience store counter tray labeled, "Take a penny." Now reimagine it, not as worthless, but as a portal. Because this isn't just about a coin. It's about what it could be. What it might contain. What it might tell us about the moments we miss, and the histories we forget. That coin has been moved, rolled, spent, dropped, passed, and held more times than anyone can count. It's been across cities. States. Maybe across countries. But what if, by sheer cosmic luck, it was unlike the rest, because all it takes is one flaw. One anomaly. A wrong planchet. A clash. A fragment of a test strike. An experimental composition. A minting machine misaligned during a double shift in late December 1999, as the millennium approached and the mint raced to fulfill its quotas. And that mistake, unseen by the worker, missed by inspectors, slipped through. Entered the system. And now, decades later, waits silently to be found. This possibility is not a fantasy. It's backed by precedent. Consider the 2000 P Sacagawea $/state quarter mule, one of the most famous error coins ever discovered. A coin combining two different denominations, never meant to exist, never recorded, never acknowledged by the mint, yet somehow, it did. And when it was discovered, it shook the numismatic world. Overnight, a common coin became a multi-million-dollar icon. Not because it was gold. Not because it was ancient. But because it wasn't supposed to exist. This is what gives the 2000 D and 2000 P coins their pulse. Their gravity. Their unspoken promise. Out of the billions minted, it is statistically likely, certain, even, that a few slipped through with errors, compositions, or combinations never intended. It has happened before. It will happen again. The only question is, who will find it, and that brings us to a deeper truth. This story, the one you're reading or listening to, is not just about a specific coin. It's about you. Because numismatics isn't a passive hobby. It's an active exploration. Every time you open a roll, every time you inspect a coin under magnification, every time you ask, what if? You are stepping into a lineage that dates back centuries. You are continuing a search that links emperors, soldiers, rebels, and children. The coin in your hand is not alone. It is part of a massive, invisible archive that spans the planet, but among those billions, only a few are marked by accident, fate, or miracle. And if you find one, the world will stop and listen. Now let's talk about the modern tools available to the searcher. In the 1980s, a coin error could take months or years to validate. Today, a coin found on a Tuesday can be posted, shared, debated, verified, slabbed, sold, and enshrined by Friday. Online forums like CoinTalk, Reddit's r/coins, and Facebook groups with thousands of eagle-eyed users dissect every close-up image. YouTube content creators amplify the finds. TikTok numismatists capture public imagination with short, viral clips. A single interesting coin can reach more eyes in an hour today than it would have reached in a decade 50 years ago, and when that interest reaches a critical mass, it creates a market surge. Suddenly everyone is checking their 2000 D and 2000 P coins. Demand spikes. Dealers get calls. Coin shows see traffic. And the mythology grows. Even rumors of a rare 2000 D mule cent or nickel are enough to send collectors scrambling back through their hoards. Now imagine this: a collector at a flea market buys a coin lot from a military veteran's estate. Nothing fancy. Mostly copper cents, some worn nickels, a few foreign pieces. The lot costs $40. They bring it home and begin to sort. One penny from 2000 D feels wrong, heavier than expected. The rim is uneven. The strike is oddly deep, as if the pressure was higher than normal. He weighs it, 3.11 grams. Not 2.5. He tests the composition. It registers as 95% copper. That shouldn't be. He posts online. The community explodes. Experts weigh in, and then it happens: confirmation. It's a 2000 D Lincoln cent struck on a leftover 1982 large-date bronze planchet. Mint error. Never seen before. Graded MS63 brown by PCGS. First of its kind. Discovery coin. Valued at over $45,000, and rising. It's not fantasy. It's history repeating itself. This kind of discovery has already occurred in other years. It is only a matter of time before it happens in 2000, if it hasn't already, and when it does, it redefines the year. Suddenly, 2000 isn't just the year of common coins, it's the year of the hidden miracle. People rush to bank vaults, old coffee cans, junk drawers. Collections are rechecked. Dealers revise their prices. Demand surges. Prices follow, but some say, how can a penny be worth $87 million? And the answer, again, lies in convergence. A coin must be unique. Confirmed. Revered. Documented. And most of all, wanted. If enough people want it, and there's only one, the price becomes an open question. In art, the world has already shown this. In 2022, a digital artwork, Pure Code, sold for $69 million. A baseball card sold for $12.6 million. A 1933 double eagle coin, once illegal to own, sold for $18.9 million. None of those things had a fixed value. They had an emotional one. A cultural one. A moment in time one. The 2000 D or 2000 P penny, or nickel, that shatters expectations will not be valuable because of its metal. It will be valuable because of its story. Because of its discovery. Because of the frenzy it creates. And that is how it can break into the 8-figure range. In the end, this isn't just about coins. It's about the eternal, undying hope that something small can be huge. That something forgotten can be remembered. That something tossed aside can be reclaimed. A coin is a mirror. It reflects how we see value. And if a coin that once meant 1 cent can someday be worth $87 million, maybe that says more about us than about it. There is a strange phenomenon that happens when a collector locks eyes with a coin and something feels different. It may not be conscious. The lighting might hit it at an odd angle. The surface might seem shinier, darker, or misaligned. But in that instant, the brain recognizes potential, and everything else fades away. The background noise of life, bills, work, deadlines, scrolling feeds, disappears. All that matters is that one coin. That one detail. And in that moment, time bends. Now multiply that moment by millions. There are coin enthusiasts across the world, grandparents and teenagers, veterans and postal workers, single moms and tech entrepreneurs, bending over rolls of coins, inspecting one piece at a time, hunting, hoping, questioning. And again, the 2000 D appears. At first, it's just another penny. Just another nickel. But slowly, that changes. Because the longer you study coins, the more you realize how much can go wrong, and how much value hides in those wrongs. It is not just minting anomalies that generate value. It's scarcity within a story. The 2000 D Lincoln cent and the 2000 P Jefferson nickel were both struck in immense numbers. But they were also struck in a highly transitional moment, where minting technology was being updated, die designs refined, and public interest was shifting from coins to cards, then to digital finance. This was the moment when errors were easy to overlook, yet more likely to occur. A perfect storm. We now know, from the years that followed, that mint employees occasionally left test strikes in production machinery. We know that dies used for proof coins were sometimes mistakenly used in business strikes. We know that mule errors, where two different coin types were paired together, were not only possible, but verified, slabbed, and sold for more than $500,000. So the idea that a single 2000 D or 2000 P coin could have been misstruck on an incorrect planchet with a reverse of a different denomination or an unapproved die pair, is not a dream. It is a probability waiting for confirmation, and confirmation is everything. One of the most critical dynamics in numismatics is authentication. A rare coin's value is not based on mere belief, it is built on verification. That's where PCGS and NGC come in. These institutions are more than graders. They are truth-tellers. They examine metal composition, die alignment, strike pressure, and surface characteristics. They research provenance. They determine whether a coin is not only real, but also unique. When they confirm a new discovery, the numismatic world shifts. The population reports update. Collectors react. YouTubers create urgent videos. Dealers adjust prices. Collectors review their hoards. The conversation spreads like fire. And if the coin is truly unique, if it's a mule, or an experimental strike, or a transitional error never before seen, then a bidding war begins. And in that war, reason often gives way to emotion. That's how price becomes unchained from logic. That's how $1 becomes $87 million. But more often than not, the coin itself isn't what sells. It's the story. It's the documentation. The human journey from discovery to validation to auction. The hours spent examining details. The disbelief when the grader calls. The surge of adrenaline when the coin hits the news. That's what people pay for. That's what makes history. That's what turns a penny into a phenomenon. It's no surprise, then, that the 2000 D cent has developed its own mythology. Search online and you'll find stories, some credible, some clearly exaggerated, of rare versions selling for tens of thousands, or being identified with unusual weight, metal inconsistencies, reverse design tweaks, or unexpected doubling. You'll read about shadowy varieties never fully verified, passed from collector to collector like whispered folklore. A misaligned die here. A full brockage there. Coins that ring different when dropped, coins that attract magnets when they shouldn't, coins with the wrong density for their year. And among those stories, one theme persists: there's always one more out there, and so, the hunt becomes eternal. One collector passes away, another is born. One hoard is sold, another begins. One error is discovered, another is forgotten, until someone new uncovers it again. That is the infinite loop of numismatics. Coins outlive us. They travel farther than we ever will. And each one carries not just a face value, but a mystery. That mystery is what drives the talk of $1,000,000 pennies and multi-million-dollar nickels. People don't need to be convinced that it's possible. They want to believe that it is. And in the case of the 2000 D cent, that belief is rooted in patterns we've already seen. Other cents have broken price barriers, if not to $87 million, then well into 5 and 6 figures. Other nickels, other years, other errors, each one a step closer to the ultimate find. And what happens when someone finds it? Picture the moment. A high school student sorting change for a class project finds a 2000 D penny that seems heavier. They post a blurry photo to Reddit. A collector zooms in and notices something odd: the reverse design seems rotated. They message the student. More photos are taken. Experts join. The coin is sent to PCGS. Graded. Confirmed. Not only is it struck on a bronze planchet, it's also a mule with a Roosevelt dime reverse. Impossible, yet real. The news breaks. The student is invited on talk shows. The coin is dubbed the Millennial Mule. Within weeks, private collectors offer millions. By year's end, it breaks records. The penny that no one saw, no one valued, becomes the most talked about object in the collecting world. A single cent, with a hammer price of $87 million. Even if this scenario hasn't happened yet, the world is prepared for it. The auction infrastructure is ready. The collectors are waiting. The graders are alert. The community is watching. The only thing missing is the coin. And maybe, just maybe, that coin is sitting somewhere near you right now. In a drawer. In a bag of coins. In a forgotten collection inherited from someone who passed away. Still unrecognized. Still hidden, and so we end this part where we began, with possibility. With a cent or a nickel, struck in the year 2000 at Denver or Philadelphia, resting silently somewhere in the world, holding within it not just metal, but meaning. The kind of meaning that reshapes lives. Imagine standing in the center of a massive coin show. Tables stretch into the distance. Glass cases gleam with every imaginable denomination, date, and mint mark. You hear the quiet jingle of change, the hum of fluorescent lighting, and the murmur of negotiations in progress. Dealers stand like sentinels over their showcases, sharp-eyed and ever ready. Collectors young and old walk between tables, eyes locked onto slabs, folders, cardboard flips. Now and then, someone gasps. They've found something. A missing piece. A coin they didn't know they needed, until it called to them. Amid all this, a whisper travels from one booth to another. A man has just walked in with a 2000 Lincoln cent common coin. But something's different. It looks strange. The surfaces are unusually clean. The strike is almost too perfect. The color, deep red with almost a gold iridescence, doesn't match what most people remember from this year. He shows it to a grader at the on-site submission table. A hush falls. Under magnification, the coin reveals the impossible. There's doubling on Liberty, but not the usual soft doubling. This is bold, distinct, layered. The D mint mark appears struck twice, at different angles. And below Lincoln's bust, faintly visible, are traces of an older design, possibly from a Sacagawea dollar or a Roosevelt dime. It's not a die clash. It's not a lamination. It's something else. Something new. A planchet that never should have been used. A mule that defies cataloging. A ghost of a coin that was never supposed to exist. And yet, it's there. The coin is submitted. Days pass. Grading services go silent, working privately, carefully, rechecking, testing metal composition, researching internal mint documents. Then the news breaks. It's a discovery coin. Not just a new variety, but a new category. A minting anomaly so rare, so unexplained, that no one, not even the most seasoned specialists, can point to an identical example. And that is when the price becomes irrelevant. Because what is the value of something that's never existed before? It's not just a cent anymore. It's history. This isn't a fantasy. This is the exact pattern that unfolded with past legendary coins. The 1913 Liberty Head Nickel. The 1943 Copper Cent. The 1974 Aluminum Penny. All of them came from accidents, from unofficial pressings, from forgotten trial runs and moments of human or mechanical error, and all of them shattered expectations. They were worth more than gold. More than platinum. Because they were stories. And stories move people. Now ask yourself, why does the $87 million number cling so tightly to the 2000 cent, even when logic says it shouldn't? The answer lies not in the coin, but in what the coin stands for. It is the ultimate underdog. A cent. The lowest unit of money. A coin so common that cashiers won't even count it. A coin that people throw in gutters, lose in washing machines, leave in parking lots. And yet, that same coin could, through error, fate, or miracle, rise to become the most valuable ever discovered. That's the story that grabs people. Because it mirrors the possibility inside all of us, that we, too, are overlooked until we are seen. That we, too, are common until we are rare. The market, for its part, continues to shift. Prices of top-grade modern coins climb steadily, especially in low-population grades. PCGS price guides now list MS68 RD 2000 D cents in the thousands. Jefferson nickels from 2000 with full steps command serious premiums. And when errors are added, double dies, rotated dies, repunched mint marks, off-metal strikes, the market opens up into a new tier entirely. Some collectors are now building entire collections centered only around the year 2000, believing it to be the modern sweet spot of undiscovered value. Not too new to be abundant in mint state condition, not too old to be worn into obscurity. The year 2000 is modern, but transitional. Familiar, but mythic, and then there is the philosophy of the hunt. For many collectors, the pursuit is not even about money anymore. It's about obsession. About ritual. Every trip to the bank, every roll of cents or nickels, becomes a form of meditation. Crack it open. Slide the coins out. Stack them. Inspect them. Sort by color. Search for weight variations. Examine for strike anomalies. This is not gambling. This is pattern recognition. This is human curiosity stretched across metal and memory. Over time, these collectors develop instincts. They can sense when something is off. They know the feel of a zinc cent versus a copper one. They know the odd sound of a wrong planchet strike. They know how to differentiate machine doubling from true double dies. And that knowledge, accumulated through time and practice, gives them power. The power to spot the next great find. The power to rewrite history, because that's what a true discovery coin does. It redefines the story we thought we knew. It adds a footnote to textbooks. It forces grading companies to create new labels. It changes auction houses' expectations. And most of all, it inspires a new generation to pick up a loop and start looking. There is still a 2000D coin out there, waiting. Maybe more than one. A coin with the wrong reverse. The wrong weight. The wrong composition. Or the right combination of all three. And it will not be found by someone casually tossing coins into jars. It will be found by someone who cares. Someone who knows. Someone who has read through this far and feels the pull of something deeper, because this is not about nostalgia. This is not about profit. This is about witnessing the moment a piece of metal stops being metal, and becomes meaning. The longer we spend immersed in coins, the more we understand, value is not simply stamped. It is discovered, it is validated, and it is believed. This is the alchemy of numismatics. Take something common, ordinary, disposable even, and through a rare combination of events, elevate it into the realm of the priceless. The coin doesn't change. But we do. We assign it meaning. And in doing so, we invite others to see what we see. Imagine again the 2000D Lincoln cent. Not in mint packaging. Not a perfect MS-69 graded specimen. Just one found in a drawer, tarnished, aged, slightly off. At first glance, it's unremarkable. But it's heavier than expected. Maybe 3.11 grams. That alone is enough to raise an eyebrow. Copper-plated zinc cents shouldn't weigh that much. Maybe it was a leftover planchet. A bronze blank from the pre-1982 era, misfed into a modern die. It's happened before, in 1983, 1989, 1990, and yes, even around 2000. Now you hold one in your hand. And it could be the only one of its kind. Or perhaps it's not the weight, but the strike. The reverse looks skewed, as if rotated slightly, the Lincoln Memorial leaning. Maybe it's just die deterioration. Or maybe it's a rotated die strike, rare and collectible, especially at extreme angles. Or it's a double strike. Or a brockage. Or struck through grease. Or some combination of all of those. Every coin tells a story, but the real question is this one telling a story no one has heard before? And if it is, what then? You research. You photograph it. You post it online. Responses flood in. Some call it fake. Some say it's damage. But one voice, maybe a veteran collector, maybe a retired grader, asks you to weigh it, check its magnetism, test its density. You follow through. And the results are impossible. Not wrong, but unexplainable. You send it in. PCGS calls. They're unsure at first. But slowly, the evidence builds. A test piece? A transitional anomaly? A misfed blank from another denomination? The mystery deepens, and then it's confirmed, you are the discoverer of a new type. A new listing. A new piece of history. Your name, once unknown, is now permanently linked to a coin that never should have existed. This isn't exaggeration. This is exactly what happened to the people who discovered the 1969 S double die cent, the 1992 close AM reverse, the 1970 S small date, the 2000 Sacagawea mule. All of them were found by people who took a moment to look closer, and those moments, when something is found, have become the fuel that drives entire economies of belief. You can chart the trajectory of modern coin prices by measuring the energy of discovery. The more people believe there is something to find, the more valuable the finds become. And when a big one hits, one coin, one photo, one story that breaks the boundaries, everything moves. That we live in a time where discoveries travel faster than ever. A rare coin posted to social media can be seen by millions in minutes. TikTok videos, YouTube shorts, and Instagram reels have turned the coin hunt into digital folklore. A penny with doubling in the word liberty becomes a headline. A nickel with full steps and an unexpected obverse clash becomes viral. And each post plants a seed in the minds of thousands of others. What if I have one too? This collective search is reshaping the market. In 2024 alone, modern coin submissions to grading services hit record highs. Entire submission batches from new collectors now include bulk quantities of 2000 D and 2000 P coins. Why? Because belief fuels behavior. And belief is spreading. Not because everyone expects to find an $87 million coin, but because they know someone could, and the truth is, someone will. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. But among the billions of coins from that year, 2000, there are bound to be a handful that escaped detection. A few that slipped through with wild planchets. Or unapproved die combinations. Or experimental reverses from design tests. Perhaps even a coin struck from an entirely foreign blank, a South American planchet misfed into an American press. All of these things have precedent. None are fantasy, but value isn't created by rarity alone. It's created by context. If a rare coin is found in obscurity and ignored, it stays forgotten. But if it is found and shared at the right moment, when the world is watching, when the community is engaged, when media is ready, it becomes more than rare. It becomes legendary. And that's when price breaks free of history. That's what happened with the 1933 Double Eagle. The 1804 Silver Dollar. The 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar. The 1913 Liberty Nickel. None of them had obvious value when they were struck. All of them became icons because people believed in the story surrounding them. They were one of a kind. Or five of a kind. But their real value wasn't just in scarcity. It was in narrative, and so we return again to the 2000 D penny. Why this coin? Because it exists at the edge of contradiction. Common, but suspicious. Mass-produced, but mystifying. Ignored, but loaded with potential. It's the perfect storm. And as time moves forward, coins from 2000 are no longer modern, they're historical. They've aged into a new category. And with each year, their chance of becoming legendary only increases. This is why the $87 million figure isn't a joke. It's a question. What would it take for a penny, just one, to be worth that much? Uniqueness. Documentation. Media attention. Collector passion. Market timing. Emotional weight. Historical mystery. A bold visual error. Confirmed by multiple authorities. Sold at auction with global attention. Placed into the hands of a billionaire collector looking for the next great centerpiece. In this equation, $87 million doesn't seem insane. It seems inevitable, and so we keep looking. By now, you've felt it. This isn't just about a number. It's about the shape of a cultural myth in progress. Every coin collector, from the seasoned expert to the newcomer, is caught in the gravitational pull of a story that hasn't been finished yet. It's being written 1 cent at a time, one discovery at a time, and it's guided by the same principle that has shaped treasure hunts for thousands of years. Something ordinary, forgotten, unclaimed, might change everything. There's a reason humans have always hidden value in small things. A message in a bottle. A signature under paint. A seed in dry soil. A scent in circulation. The more humble the object, the more dramatic its transformation when its value is finally understood. And coins, especially coins that pass through countless hands unnoticed, are the ultimate expression of this quiet power. They are anonymous until someone notices. Let's imagine one such unnoticed anomaly. A 2000 penny sits in a plastic bag under someone's sink. It's been there for years. It went through a laundry machine. It has a dull tone, but it feels oddly heavy. One day, someone picks it up, maybe not even a collector, maybe just someone bored, cleaning. They toss it onto the counter and hear an unexpected ring, not the flat clink of zinc, but a higher, bell-like tone of copper or something else. That sound becomes a question. They look closer. There's something strange about the edge. They weigh it. It doesn't match the official specs. They start reading. They go online. They dig, and then, validation. It's a bronze planchet. Or a foreign blank. Or a steel core test coin never meant to escape the mint. Its details are misaligned. Or its reverse belongs to another denomination. Or its design has traces of a prototype from the mint's internal experiments. It is, without question, a one-of-a-kind minting event. It shouldn't exist. But it does. And it's real. Now pause. That moment, the one where the coin is verified, is when the price begins to take shape. Not based on weight. Not based on grade. But based on story. Because suddenly, every collector in the world knows there is only one. One coin struck that way. One known specimen. One artifact of a mistake or decision or accident frozen in time, and that uniqueness is where the $87 million valuation stops being speculative. It becomes market-driven. Because history has already shown that wealthy private collectors, museums, and numismatic investors will pay staggering sums for coins that are certified authentic, b. historically significant, c. culturally resonant, and d. singular. That's how the 1794 flowing hair dollar sold for over $10 million. That's how the 1933 double eagle reached nearly $19 million. That's how a 1-cent piece of copper, if it connects deeply enough to rarity, mystery, and verified authenticity, could exceed all previous records. But let's talk more about the collectors themselves. Who are these people ready to pay millions for a coin? They're not always who you'd expect. Some are hedge fund managers. Some are former tech CEOs. Some are old money families building private museums. Others are simply lifelong collectors with the means to chase what they love. What unites them isn't greed. It's passion. Possession of the rarest known example is, for them, not about display, it's about identity. Legacy. Proof that they stood at the crossroads of luck, knowledge, and history. To them, the idea of paying tens of millions for a penny isn't absurd. It's logical. It's a culmination. And because coins are portable, durable, and documented, they are one of the few tangible assets that can carry prestige across generations. Buying the most valuable cent in history is not a transaction, it's a moment of cultural authorship, and that is what a single 2000 cent might offer. So we must ask, how many errors from that year have yet to be found? How many have already been found but misidentified? How many collectors are unknowingly holding what they seek to discover? Because the truth is, the history of coin collecting is full of examples where known rarities sat unrecognized in jars, envelopes, even beneath floorboards. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel was unknown to the public until it surfaced at a coin show, decades later. The 1943 copper cent wasn't known to be valuable until after someone realized the date and composition didn't match. Over and over again, the pattern repeats. Rarity lives in silence until attention wakes it up, and this very story, this long, uninterrupted telling, is a kind of awakening. It is not a guide. It is not a list of what to look for. It is an invitation to care. To care about the weight of a coin. To care about the sound it makes. To care about the texture of its rim, the pressure of its strike, the rhythm of its design. Because only those who care become discoverers. The rest remain passive. Observers of stories instead of their authors, and maybe that is why you're still here, reading. Maybe something inside you knows that coins are not just money. They are time. They are proof. They are records that can't be rewritten. And if one coin, say, a 2000 penny, tells a story no one has heard before, and if that story gets told clearly, boldly, publicly, with evidence, then yes. It could be worth anything, even $87 million. We are nearing the edge now. And yet the story isn't finished. In fact, the real legend may still be waiting in a box, in a basement, in a roll of coins at a corner bank branch. Or in your palm. The story has become personal. Whether you've ever held a coin in a 2x2 flip, whether you've bought rolls at the bank, or just found one on the sidewalk, you now understand, every coin is a potential miracle. The 2000 penny, at first so common, so overlooked, has grown into something else in your imagination. Something real. Tangible. A cipher for possibility. And isn't that exactly what numismatics is? A belief system based on tangible proof. Let's return to that coin for a moment. Picture it again. Coppery red, or brown and dull. It has wear, or maybe it doesn't. It has the familiar Lincoln obverse, the stern profile, the word liberty, the date 2000, and the small d beneath it. You've seen this coin before. You've probably had thousands of them pass through your hands. But imagine you find one that isn't like the others. You can't say why at first. But something's off. Maybe it's the surface. Maybe it's the way the light bounces across the fields. You turn it over. The Lincoln Memorial looks normal, until you notice the column seems shadowed. You blink. There's doubling, maybe. Or is it a clash? Or a die break? You weigh it. It's heavy. Heavier than it should be. Is it copper? A bronze planchet? You look again, harder this time. The rim isn't right. The edge looks thicker. The color doesn't match any other 2000 coin you've ever handled. That's when your pulse changes. Your breath shortens, and in that moment, everything becomes quiet. Because now you are not just holding a coin. You are holding the question is, could this be it, the one coin? The 1 in 10 billion. The anomaly. The legend, and you start the process. You check known errors. You compare images. You research strike errors, minting processes, transitional planchets. You ask questions. You post. You get feedback. Some of it is helpful. Some is harsh. But you keep going. Because now you know. Something about this coin doesn't fit. And that not fitting is where value is born. This is how all great numismatic discoveries begin. Not with certainty. Not with proof. But with suspicion. With the recognition that something small is not behaving the way it should. And when that suspicion is validated, by testing, by authentication, by grading, then everything changes. A coin becomes a phenomenon. A minor detail becomes a massive cultural event. And the collector who found it becomes a part of history. Now let's talk about what happens after such a coin is discovered. First comes grading. The coin is submitted to a major service, PCGS, NGC. They test weight, composition, strike depth, die markers, edge characteristics. Once authenticated and encapsulated, it receives a custom label. Discovery coin. Unique error. 1 of 1 transitional strike. This alone adds tens of thousands to its value. Next comes exposure. It is posted on forums, sent to YouTube channels, featured on Instagram. It shows up in Coin World. It circulates among experts. It becomes debated, dissected, praised, scrutinized. And the more people talk, the more people want to see it, want to own it. That's when the phone calls start. Private buyers, auction houses, museum directors, collectors with deep pockets and deeper motivations. The offers rise. $10,000. Then $40,000. Then $120,000. Then $500,000. And when it finally goes to auction, whether Heritage or Stax Bowers, it's no longer just a coin. It's an event. A moment. A test of how much belief the market can sustain, and if the story is compelling enough, if the coin is truly one of a kind, if the provenance is secure, if the certification is bulletproof, if the visuals are dramatic, then the sky becomes the floor. That's when $87 million no longer seems impossible, because what we're talking about is not just monetary value. It's cultural impact. Just like a piece of art, a baseball card, a signed first edition, or a strand of historical DNA, a coin becomes a token of human story. A physical piece of a mystery that was solved. A proof of attention. And when that proof is rare enough, and believed by enough people, then price becomes a mirror of emotion. Of scarcity. Of identity. Coins have always had that power. That's why emperors put their faces on them. That's why kingdoms rose and fell around them. That's why wars were fought over the control of mints. A coin is never just a coin. It is a declaration. Of value. Of legacy. Of permanence, and that's what the 2000D penny might be. A declaration. That rarity still exists. That wonder still hides in plain sight. That miracles are real, but you must look for them, which brings us back to you, yes, you, the person reading this, the person may be holding a 2000D or 2000P right now, wondering, doubting, hoping. This story isn't about some theoretical collector. It's about you. Because the only thing separating a common coin from an $87 million treasure is attention. And you have that power. You always have. What makes this so exciting is that the story hasn't ended. You are reading part 14 of a story with no known conclusion. Because the coin may still be out there. Not in a museum. Not behind glass. But somewhere forgotten. Somewhere overlooked. In a roll of cents waiting to be opened. In a shoebox under someone's bed. In a drawer labeled junk change. Or perhaps, right now, in your hand. There are moments in life when the ordinary becomes profound, not because it changed, but because you did. Because you saw what no one else saw. That is the heart of collecting. That is the soul of this story. The coin, after all, is still just a coin. Small, circular, metal. It does not shout. It does not glow. It does not radiate wealth. If anything, it's designed to disappear. To pass invisibly through countless hands. To function. But if you stare at it long enough, really see it, it becomes more than that. It becomes a time capsule. A ghost. A secret. A question, and the more you learn, the more the silence around that question grows. The Denver Mint in 2000 was operating under immense pressure. The economy was booming. Coin demand surged. Billions of cents and nickels were produced. Die changes were occurring. New materials were being tested. Security protocols were still evolving. In that chaos, it is not just likely but certain that mistakes were made, some visible, some buried. Mint errors, by their very nature, are the result of something going wrong. And yet, the most valuable of them aren't accidents. They are overlooked events. Undocumented actions. Gaps in oversight. Unnoticed anomalies. Not errors of intent, but of silence. A blank from the wrong year. A planchet meant for another denomination. A die setup that went undocumented. All of these have happened before. They are not theories. They are recorded facts, which leads us to the great truth of modern coin collecting. Rarity is no longer confined to AGE. In the 20th century, most people believed that only old coins could be valuable. 1794, 1856. 1909, but that belief has been shattered. The most valuable penny ever sold is from 1943. The most famous error is from 2000. The most viral coin discoveries of the last decade are from within our own lifetimes. This means that anyone alive today can be the discoverer of a numismatic legend, and you don't need an estate collection. You don't need thousands of dollars. You don't need a vault or a microscope. You need a coin, and the willingness to care. The myth of the $87 million cent is not that it has sold yet. It's that it can sell. That the right combination of factors, a one-of-one mint error, certified and witnessed, discovered at the perfect moment of cultural awareness, can elevate the lowest form of money into the highest form of attention. The alchemy of obscurity into myth. We have already seen it in sports cards. In art. In NFTs. In music memorabilia. Why not coins? And among all coins, the 2000 D penny is the perfect candidate. It exists in huge numbers, making the odds of a freak strike or rogue planchet feasible. It's recent enough to be overlooked, yet old enough to be re-examined. And it exists at the millennial turning point, a date already charged with symbolic weight. The end of one era. The start of another. In numismatics, symbolic weight matters. The 1909 SVDB is not the rarest cent, but it's famous because it marked the beginning of the Lincoln series, and the clash between design and politics. The 1955 double die is not the only such error, but it's iconic because the doubling is so vivid. The 2000 D, then, might rise not because it's old or perfect, but because it contains a story waiting to be told. So what will it take? It will take someone, maybe you, finding that one example. A 2000 D struck on a foreign blank. A 2000 P nickel with a Sacagawea reverse. A Lincoln cent struck on a Roosevelt dime planchet. A full brockage with deep mirror-proof-like surfaces. A mule. A mistake. A whisper of a prototype. It will take authenticity. Certification. A recognized grading label that says, "This is real." It will take community. The believers. The ones who amplify the find. Share it. Debate it. Want it. It will take media. Articles. Videos. Social buzz. Headlines that say, "Penny discovered in 2025 may be worth record $87 million. And then, it will take the market. Not just one bidder. But two. Or three. Competing. Wanting not just the coin, but what it represents: ownership. Legacy. The bragging rights of holding what no one else can, and yes, it will take time. But maybe not as much as you think, because the world moves faster now. Discoveries that once took decades to be known are now viral in hours. If the coin is real, and rare, and beautiful, and documented, it does not need to wait. It will be seen. It will be known, and it will be priced, not by a formula, but by passion. By belief. And so we return once again to where all of this began, not with auctions, not with grading, not with price tags, but with attention. With someone picking up a coin that no one else cared about and asking the question, What if? That is the question at the heart of all discovery. And the answer is never obvious. The answer is a journey. It's this very story. It's this very moment, right now, where you are thinking about a cent differently than you ever have before. It's not just copper and zinc. It's not just a date. It's a doorway. And if you open it, you might not just find money. You might find a legacy.